It's time for the EFL betting show. We have another exciting weekend of EFL action coming up, and myself, Billy, and Ned are going to be running through the best bets this weekend. Of course, please do gamble responsibly, 18 and over. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So send in your bets if you've got any on this weekend. What do you fancy? And also let us know your thoughts on Billy and Ned's selections. Billy, how you getting on this morning, mate?
Yeah, doing well, thank you. My first appearance back on the betting show this season, so I'm hoping that it's going to be productive and hopefully I can start the season off right.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Ned, how you getting on, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Looking forward to another weekend of EFL football. I'm going to the seven-side derby as a fan on Sunday, so a bit of a change up for me. But yeah, I've steered clear of that game in my bets. But yeah, hopefully looking forward to highlighting some more value.
Yeah, fingers crossed. If you haven't seen this show before, we run through 4 different selections. Billy and Ned will be selecting a banker, an accumulator, a value bet, and a wild card. Right, let's start off with the bankers. Right, Billy, what is your banker this weekend in the EFL?
I didn't like the look of the Championship. I didn't like the look of League Two, but I think League One this week is particularly good. I think there was a couple of really good shouts there, but I've gone for Portsmouth to beat Bristol Rovers at 7-10, purely based on what I've seen from Portsmouth so far. I've been really, really impressed with them, the direction they're heading in. So Colby Bishop has made a real tremendous start to proceedings, a player that came with a little bit of expectation, but also I don't think many people would have expected him to start the way he has done. Really, really influential in the final third, and player that really varies up his attacking gameplay, can run in behind and cause problems, and can link the play as well. So I think he's been a real welcomed addition, and somebody that will continue to score goals. Also the signings in general, so Michael Morrison, Marlon Pack, Rafferty and Owen Dale, just real strong additions to the top end of a League One club, and it's a real exciting time. I don't think this is purely reflective of Bristol Rovers, of them being bad or making it a bad start to the season. I think I've been impressed slightly by what they've done so far, but I think Portsmouth at the moment are just a machine that are heading in one direction, and I think that's probably summed up by the levels of competition in midfield, like Ryan Tunnicliffe not seeing a sniff at the moment, and you're seeing players like Louis Thompson really, really thriving. As I said before, it's really, really exciting time for Portsmouth fans, and for that reason, I think at 7-10, I think it could be a good shout and one that could be a real banker.
Yeah. Pompey certainly looking good right now under Danny Cowley. I must admit myself, I never bet against Portsmouth or for Portsmouth. They always let me down. But hopefully, Billy, you have some success this weekend. Ned, what is your banker then for the EFL this weekend?
Yeah, I sort of echo Billy's thoughts in terms of the Championship. Sort of results-wise, it looks a tough one. But I am looking at the Championship, and I'm looking at Borough against Reading. A goals bet there. I just think, I think no team's conceded more than Borough this season. You'd say it's uncharacteristic, but at what point do we say that they just don't seem to be? I'm not sure whether it's players betting down or something, but I think there's goals in this one. Reading, of course, obviously bounced back in style, but even on the back of probably their best performance in a long, long time, I can't say I've got a huge amount of confidence that they're going to be solid again. That's just the sort of team they seem to be under Paul Ince. So I've gone for over 1.5 goals at 2-7, so £5 return, 6.42 there. So that's a sort of a low odds one, but one I really do think is going to come in there. If you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, you can go over 2.5 at 10-11, but I think the over 1.5 one is a real banker and perhaps one to add to your ACCA.
Yeah, I could certainly see that coming in. Possibly, like you say, one to add into an accumulator for sure at that price. Let us know your thoughts on Billy and Ned's bankers this weekend. We've had a comment coming from Des. Des, good to have you with us this morning. League One is where the money is this week. Des has gone for MK Dons to beat Accrington, Posh to beat Lincoln and Derby to beat Fleetwood at 6-1. Not a bad little treble there. Keep your bets coming in the comments. We will get them up on the screen and discuss them. Right, on the topic of accumulators, we're going to touch on the Ackies next. Right, Billy, what is your accumulator for this weekend?
Yeah, I think first of all, Des is completely right with his comment about League One. I think I could personally have had all my selections for this show within League One, but I did try to vary it a tad. But again, starting in League One, I had my first selection as my banker, Portsmouth to beat Bristol Rovers. Also had Peterborough to beat Lincoln. Again, it sort of follows that ruling of Peterborough showing real promise. Nothing against what Lincoln have done so far, because they have been impressive. But Peterborough, I believe, have a stronger squad now than they did when in the Championship. And you look at Marriott and Johnson Clark-Harris after a pre-season performing together and a good positive start. I think those two are just a level above as well. You've got Burrows, you've got Joe Ward, all putting in good deliveries. And then the midfield is again, competition levels within that midfield is incredible, really. Ben Thompson, real strong performer. I think when that move was confirmed, the guys on the show, whoever it was that day, said that he is a championship player, a top-end championship player on his day. So to have him in League One is a real asset for them. And like Cipriano's not really seeing too much football at the moment. He's a really exciting talent. So again, just points to the kind of competition levels they do have at the moment. And I think that should help them get over the line and beat Lincoln and strengthen their promotion bid is what we kind of expect from them this season. Also got Ipswich to beat Shrewsbury. Again, I'm talking here about a team that is probably of championship quality. Ipswich have shown that over the last few years they've struggled against teams that maybe allow them to have the ball and sort of look for them to break them down instead of coming and competing. I can imagine this kind of game following suit, but Ipswich have shown that they can break teams down. They've done it against Burton during the week. A difficult game for them given the kind of emphasis kind of shift of how they're supposed to play. Wes Burns again has been in electric form. Harness has started really strong. Dinasian as well has been a real rock at the back, but also providing that sort of marauding runs down the wing and supporting Wes Burns. Freddie Ladapo as well has looked bright, needs a couple of goals, I think, to really kickstart his season, but I think it's all really positive at the moment, and that's before even getting into the midfield duo of Sam Morsey and Evans as well. So Ipswich to beat Shrewsbury again, it sort of follows that ruling I've had so far of a team that they're playing against a team, that haven't really shown any signs of being weak or anything, but it's more to do with Ipswich and how good they're looking so far. And then for my last one, I dipped down to League Two, Stevenage to beat Carlisle. Really impressed with what I've seen from Stevenage so far, and I think Evans has gained a bit of reputation over the past few years of being a long ball specialist and playing football the ugly way, but they actually seem to be playing a lot better football under his stewardship than when Revel was in charge. Likes of Jake Reeves and Arthur Reed have been really impressive playing through the thirds, and they're dominating teams on the ball, which I'd never thought I'd say with a Stevenage side, but they're doing it and they're doing it well, and they're also doing it without Elliot List up top, which again just shows that the strength they've managed to add, and players like Dan Sweeney's come in and it's been really impressive. So I'm going for Stevenage to beat Carlisle there, and it makes it 4 out of 4 of teams that are actually not too bad, because Carlisle have also been quite strong at the start of this campaign. It's just the strength for the 4 teams coming into this game, and all of that totals up to be 10.78 to 1.
Okay, nice fourfold there. Let us know your thoughts on Billy's 4 selections in his accumulator. Ned, what are you going for in terms of your accumulator this weekend?
It's a treble for me, all results ones. It's the sort of one that I could perhaps look to add that banker into to sort of make the odds a little bit more enticing. But I've gone first of all Newport to beat Tranmere. I think obviously Newport, it's been a tough start to the season. I think 1 point from their first 4 games, but I actually think that's not a fair reflection of James Rowberry's side's performances. Came out on the wrong end of a 5-goal thriller against top of the table Salford in midweek. I think they really should have beaten a pretty strong Walsall side earlier in the season, and I just think that win is coming. And I think it's going to come against Tranmere this weekend. So it's Newport to beat Tranmere. Then I've got Exeter to beat Cheltenham. I mean, what a start it's been for the Grecians to life in League One. They whacked Cheltenham 7-0 in the Carabao Cup a few weeks ago. Obviously, it'll be sort of changed up 11 so far. But I think that speaks to the difficult start, really, that Cheltenham are having to the season, obviously having lost their manager in the summer. And I just think Exeter, the tide, with all the momentum heading into this one. So I've got them. And then I've got another side that I think the odds are sort of reflective of some poor results rather than poor performances for me. At Wimbledon to beat Crawley, it's at Crawley. I don't think the Dons are as bad as that 5-2 scoreline suggests against Mansfield. We know how good Mansfield are, and that red card obviously played into it quite a lot. I've been really impressed by what Wimbledon have sort of offered going forward. Obviously 2 goals for the summer signing Josh Davison in midweek, and they come up a Crawley side sort of bereft of form, really, in a quite a strange position. I thought their summer business has been really impressive, but things just don't seem to be right at the club at the moment. And I think Johnny Jackson's side, while they've struggled to defend Leeds, I can sort of see them bagging the win in this one. So that's Wimbledon to win away at Crawley, Exeter to beat Cheltenham, Newport to beat Tranmere, 9.19 to 1.
Okay, nice little treble there. Let us know your thoughts on Neds accumulator for this weekend. Just a reminder, please do gamble responsibly, 18 and over. Please do send in your bets for this weekend. We want to see what you've got on for this upcoming EFL weekend. Right, let's look at the value bet next. Right, Billy, what is your value bet for this weekend?
Well, unless I'm missing something blatantly obvious, I really do not understand how Hull were 5-1 to beat West Brom. Given both their starts, I think Hull have been really, really impressive. I think coming into the new season, they had sort of a base layer. They had, the likes of Jacob Greaves. They had a strong enough midfield. Of course, that front line needed reinforcements, especially with Keane Lewis Potter going, but they've done that. Sort of Tete coming in, Ozan Tufan and Estupinan as well, all really strong additions who have started on the front foot. As I said before, Greaves is a player that's now a year more advanced than the start of last year, so that's only going to benefit them. And they've got real momentum so far, and the games they've played so far where they've had to sacrifice possession, they had to do it against Burnley, they had to do it against Norwich, saw 23% possession and 30% possession in both those games. They've really impressed when they've not been on the ball and breaking out with pace. So I think that's going to play into their hands again against West Brom. West Brom have put in dominated performances. Of course, 3 points from 4 games I don't think is truly reflective of the performances put in so far. It is reflective that they do need a forward, I think, and that's, of course, a problem that's going to continue into this game. So yeah, I believe Hull at 5-1. Sorry, after the start that they've had, and given West Brom's struggles in front of goal, it's just a crazy to me that it's anything above 3-1. So yeah, I think that's one that I'll definitely be looking to invest in.
Yeah, that is an outrageous price. I can't actually believe that. 5-1 for Hull City to beat West Bromwich Albion this weekend. Like you say, Baggies stalling somewhat under Steve Bruce so far, a little bit goal shy at the moment. So that's an interesting value bet there from Billy. Hull to beat West Brom at 5-1. Ned, what is your value bet for this weekend?
I'm not sure if we've ever had this on the EFL betting show before, but I've also got Hull to beat West Brom at 5-1. I think that price really impossible to ignore for really all the reasons Billy said. Baggies struggles in front of goal, just costly, and it seems a little bit like it seems like that they're sort of falling into a bit of a trend that could end up being lethal for Steve Bruce, as controlling and as good at creating chances as they've been. I just think, that terrible form in front of goal is starting to get really costly for them. And week in, week out, they're not getting results in games that Bruce sort of keeps saying his side should have come out on top in. But if you're not scoring the goals, then I'm not sure you do deserve to win the game, really. As for Hull, I think they've ridden their luck a fair bit this summer. It has to be, this season rather, has to be said. But you can't ignore a team that really is, has made an unbeaten start to the season. They're clearly growing in confidence, and they've got a lot of quality players that are really beginning to settle. And I think the price on this one has really lured me in, 5-1 on Hull to win away at a side that have been struggling, really, as we've said many times, in front of goal. I think it was just impossible to ignore.
I think that definitely is a first for the EFL betting show, Ned. Two of the same selections for a value bet there. Both Billy and Ned opting for Hull to beat West Bromwich Albion at 5-1. Had a few more comments come in. I popped it up briefly. Wayne thinks Hull will win 3-1 against the Baggies this weekend. He's also put in an accumulator he fancies. MK Dons win, an Ipswich win, a Lincoln win, and a Derby win. There we go. Keep your bets coming in. Right, one more selection to look at next, and that is the wildcard. So, Billy, you hinted before we went on air that this is an interesting wildcard from yourself. What have you gone for?
Yeah, as we've seen before, I think logic sometimes goes out the window with these wildcard bets, but one for me, sort of two factors I've considered here. I don't know if QPR fans will be, I think they'll be confused when they hear this, but the first part of my selection is Lyndon Dykes to score 2 or more goals. Of course, should have had a couple against Blackpool, but I just think the way that QPR set up, Adnan Ethan led, the kind of attacking prowess he brings. You've got Elias Chair there, you've got the midfield that are very, very creative in itself. He's going to be presented with chances. And the fact that, there's not Sinclair Armstrong is giving him good competition at the moment, but I don't think he's in a position as of yet to maybe start ahead of him. I think that's going to happen soon, but I still think at this moment in time, Lyndon Dykes is going to be starting. And should he start in a game against Rotherham, where I expect QPR to continually churn out chances, I think he might get his just rewards. A very hard work. I think all QPR fans will probably agree with that. It's difficult he's probably in a difficult position at the moment because he hasn't got that first goal. But if he can manage to score it early enough, I think he can grow in confidence and perhaps get 2 or more. The second part of the selection, again, following on a similar kind of trend of forwards that haven't been scoring, or forwards that do have something to offer. I've got Elijah Adebayo. Just for some reason, it hasn't worked out for him at the start of the season. Hasn't put in a decent enough performance, a performance that sort of matches what he's shown last year as of yet. But he's somebody that continues to be presented with chances. He can create something out of nothing. He can roll his defender. He can score from set pieces. Of course, a real physical threat. There's loads of different ways Elijah Adebayo can score. And once that first goal goes in, I'm sure he'll start to really thrive again. Luke Freeman's been one of Luton's best players so far. So if he can develop a relationship with Luke Freeman, I'm sure that could prove to be fruitful. But yeah, at 314-1 for Elijah Adebayo and Lyndon Dykes to both score 2 or more goals, it's one that's definitely worth £1 or 2.
Yeah, certainly worth at least 50p on that. That is a bold selection, but that's what the wild card is all about. Billy opting for Elijah Adebayo and Lyndon Dykes to score 2 or more this weekend. Neds, have you got odds that high in your selection?
No, I haven't. And I actually realised I said at the top of this show that I wasn't going to be suggesting any bets on the 7-side derby, but turns out that's a lie. I've got a bet builder on the Bristol City Cardiff game Sunday lunchtime. First leg of it is Andy Weimann to score anytime. I mean, the man cannot stop scoring at the moment, 4 and 5 in all competitions. And I think this is a game that I foresee being fairly open. I've heard Bristol City described as the agents of chaos in the Championship this season, and obviously kept a clean sheet against Luton on Tuesday night. But I mean, as Billy, I'm sure, can vouch for, Luton weren't without their chances in that one. I think this is going to be a fairly open one. And again, so I've got Weimann to score there. As I said, City kept it clean sheet in midweek, but I think the games have been full of goals this season. There'll be more chances. So I've got both teams to score. Given it's a derby as well, I think this is going to be a bit of a frenetic one. So both teams to score. And then playing on the sort of derby part of it, I've got Alex Scott to get a yellow card as well. Mark Sykes red means that I think he'll probably start at right wing back. Kane Wilson hasn't been fit enough to start yet, and it would be a bold move, I think, to throw him into to start against Cardiff in the derby from Nigel Pearson. So I think we'll see Scott sort of out wide, and I think, well, I know he's a player that absolutely loves a challenge and just the sort to get riled up in a derby. So I think we might see Alex Scott pick up a card in this one. So that's Weimann score, and he turned both teams to score, and an Alex Scott yellow at 12-1. So I feel like that's a fairly decent odds on that one.
Yeah, not too bad at all. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Let us know your thoughts on Ned and Billy's wildcards before we end the show. Right, well, that is it from us on the EFL betting show this morning on Football League World TV. In about 40 minutes' time, we've got the EFL weekend preview show headed up by Alfie Burns. Well worth a watch here on the channel. Loads of really intriguing clashes across the English Football League this weekend. They'll be delving into them. Billy, Ned, thanks for your selections and your time this morning. Thanks to everyone that got their comments in and everyone that tuned in. If you're watching this on repeat on YouTube, please do stick a like in below this video and subscribe to the channel. It really, really does help us grow on the platform in particular. But until next time, we shall see you soon.